Hello, good morning, and welcome to an exciting day, and it's time to talk business. My name is Blyden Lukem, and it's Business 360. In today's Business 360, we'll look at the key features in the world of business, part of it being an interview from Elon Musk and with Business Corporation. The multi-billionaire entrepreneur also said that he would sell the company if the right person comes and came along. Let's hear from Elon Musk regarding this.
Revenue, negative cash flow situation, and Twitter having $1 billion in the bank. That's 4 months to live. So unless drastic action was taken immediately, this company is going to die and be owned by the banks.
Let's talk about that drastic action, because all he said, pretty much everyone said, is that it felt quite haphazard.
It was.
And it felt a little bit uncaring.
I wouldn't say uncaring. The issue is like the company's either going to go bankrupt or if yeah.
But a lot of people just lost their jobs like that. They weren't. They didn't even know they'd lost their jobs often. They just were just frozen out of their accounts.
What would you do?
Well, you might want to give someone some notice. I mean, you might. By the way, I'm not running Twitter, but
I know. But
when Elon Musk, who at the time was the richest man in the world, says it's quite painful and difficult owning Twitter, then he should be worried. The Berkshire Hathaway chairman and CEO told Becky Quick on Squawk Box on Wednesday from Tokyo. Meanwhile, the collapses of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank last month, the second and third largest bank failures in US history, respectively, prompted extraordinary rescue action from regulators. Let's hear from Warren Buffett, the number 5th richest man in the world.
A hell of a lot of money. The people who bought the debt of the holding company, by managers into panicking the whole citizenry of the United States about something they don't need to be panicked about. I mean, it is really, it's like we thinking that
but you're saying on one hand, okay, no depositor is going to lose money. On the other hand, you're saying we're not through the bank failures.
Banks can go bust, but depositors aren't going to be hurt. I mean, banks can go bust. I mean, the Continental Illinois Bank was thought to be impregnable, back many years ago, and the Franklin National Bank, the Bank of the Commonwealth, and sometimes they go broke because they make too many dumb.
Aimed at Russian oligarch Alisher Usmanov and Roman Abramovich, targeting the financial networks of two of Moscow's wealthiest businessmen who are close allies of Russian President Vladimir Putin. US officials said the new designations, which were coordinated with the British government, aimed at reinforce existing announced sanctions on 120 entities and individuals across more than 20 countries and jurisdictions connected to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The UK named 14 individuals and entity to suffer the sanctions. Looking at the country's fragile economy, will grow just 0.5% this year, down from 6% in 2022. The latest data on Pakistan's ailing economy was released by the IMF when it unveiled its World Economic Outlook report in Washington, D.C. The IMF also forecast 27% for this year for the country of more than 230 million people. The global lender warned that unemployment would continue to rise to 139 people and cause $30 billion in damages. That is the state of things in the country Pakistan. Let's come to Africa. For the first time in 8 years, Burundi has received $261 million from the International Monetary Fund (IMF), which will help with its economic recovery. Burundi's economy has experienced a number of shocks, which have slowed down its recovery from COVID-19 and worsened its macroeconomic imbalances. Still talking about the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund has listed measures Nigeria and other oil-producing economies need to put in place to resolve their low crude oil production challenges. According to its April, manage the impact of declines in fossil fuel production. The fund also said that countries at risk of declining fossil fuel output also need to improve public finances and the quality of their institutions, diversify their economies, set up sovereign wealth fund, and facilitate the reallocation of production factors in such countries. Looking at outlines within Nigeria annual audited reports. The NGX record listed the defaulting companies as Champion Breweries plc, International Energy Insurance plc, Wema Bank plc, Con Oil plc, Presco plc, GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Nigeria plc, Pharmadeco plc, and Universal Insurance plc. The companies were accused of failing to comply with a directive to issue a press release that was due on 31st March 2023. Quite concerning, they're not giving any explanation regarding this. Meanwhile, the federal government has approved the procurement and installation of luggage scanners in all railway stations in Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano. They include 8 color imaging X-ray scanners. Ita Adegoroye, who briefed State House correspondent after the week's Federal Executive Council meeting, said the procurement would cost 498 million naira. He further stated that a new installation was part of the federal government's ongoing program to enhance railway transport safety in the country. Would be a good time to look at global analyses and global economy. Beginning with the Bank, Canada left interest rate unchanged for the second straight meeting, saying recent data is reinforcing its confidence that inflation will continue to slow. Policymakers led by Governor Steve McClem held the overnight lending rates at 4.5% on Wednesday, in line with the expectations of economists. They reiterated that they are still prepared to increase rates if paused.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning. I'm very pleased to be here with Senior Deputy Governor Carolyn Rogers to discuss today. Today we maintained our policy rate at 4.5%. Importance of staying the course and restoring price stability for Canadians. Inflation is coming down quickly, and it's forecast to be about 3% this summer. The economy is expected to grow modestly, even as inflation have to happen to get inflation all the way back to the 2% target. Inflation expectations have.
That was Governor Steve McClem of the Bank of Canada. Let's get to talk about the new Bank of Japan chief. New Bank of Japan chief vows to keep still attention to the risks of failing to meet its 2% inflation target with premature monetary tightening, rather than being behind the curve in combating too high price growth. While other countries are experiencing elevated inflation, the situation is quite different in Japan, where they said in Japan's G7 chair briefing, whether Japan could risk being behind the curve in addressing the risks of too high inflation by keeping monetary policy ultra loose for a prolonged period. Surged by 14.8% year-on-year to $315.6 billion in March 2023, easily beating market consensus of 7% fall and shifting from a 6.8% drop in trade further with advanced countries while exploring new possibilities with emerging economies. It would be a good time to look at the charts indicating China's exports year-on-year. The chart shows that as at April 2022, export rate was at 3.5% and went further upward as at July to 18.1%, but began to slump in October 2022 to a negative 0.3%, and negative 9, negative 9.9, negative 10.5%. Looking at an African perspective, the market has been quite different. Investors are looking forward to indices all around. but Ghana has been a talking point. Ghana inflation rate drops for third month. Ghana's annual after reaching a more than two-decade high of 54.1% in December. Since last October, as a stronger currency was reflected in softer increases in prices of both. On a monthly basis, consumer prices decreased by 1.2% in March, the most since September 2012, after a 1.9% rise in the prior month. Let's look at the chart indicating Ghana's inflation rates. Inflation rate in Ghana has seen lots of ups, moving higher and higher in 2022. From April 2022, it was at 23.6%. By July, slowing down to 52.8% in February and 45% in March. This is indicative of improvement in the economy, at least the economy of Ghana, after much talking point last year. Let's move to the commodity markets then. Todd Colvin will be standing by to give us some ideals in the metal market. Let's hear from Todd.
As the minutes came out today, the minutes suggested that the Fed is concerned in continuing to moderate. Since the Fed has been in their rate hike cycle, that has been the case. Clearly, the Fed has made a big move on the rate side. Now the market is trying to price in when their rate hike cycle might end. Currently, Fed fund futures are seeing that end in May. That's next month when they're expected to raise 25 basis points, but nothing further out on any of the Fed fund futures contracts. And gold prices today reflected that, the fact that they moved higher, despite the fact that we are continuing to see it.
Go to the market to see what the rally is in the market this morning, the metal market. We'll look at the price of gold, silver, copper, and the rest of the metals. Gold price this morning has been slightly upward by 12.34 points. Current price for gold, $2,026 per ounce. The market is moving fast. Silver is slightly upward this morning, $25 per ounce. Copper, slightly upward, but steel price is downward. Let's look at the energy market then. The price of the energy, crude oil, Brent crude, and WTI crude. Crude oil price, this $1 per barrel. Natural gas is slightly upward, gasoline slightly downward this morning, heating oil slightly upward. The agricultural market then. The agricultural market have seen its ups and downs. Current price for soybeans, $1,514 per bushel. Slightly, palm oil has dropped by 58 points. Current price for palm oil is 3,717 Malaysian ringgit per ton. That's the outlook in the agricultural market. Let's also get to look at what the forex market is saying this morning. Let's move straight into the forex market and see what the outline of the market is. The euro against the US dollar market this morning. The euro futures prints the steepest rally in 3 weeks as softer than expected pressures are on the US dollar. The market this morning. Euro against the US dollar. Current price is 1.10 US dollar, equaling 1 euro. A slight gain for the euro this morning, are gaining against the US dollar. Let's also have a view of Naira's perspective against the majors. The US dollar against Naira at the international market has been at a constant level at 459 Naira, equaling 1 US dollar. But a slight gain for the euro against the Naira at 502 Naira, equaling 1 euro. For pounds to the Naira, it's 570 Naira, equaling 1 pound. Let's look at the parallel market then. Naira's performance in the parallel market this morning. The outline of the parallel market has been slow and steady, but the Naira is gaining in the parallel market against the dollar. From yesterday's price, which was 740.46, is downward now to 737 Naira to $1 at the buying rate. Selling rate 731 Naira, equaling $1. For pounds to Naira, it's 930 Naira to 1 pound at buying rate and 992 Naira to 1 euro at selling rate. Would be a good time to look at what the cryptocurrency markets are saying this morning. The cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin had hit upward above 30,000 mark $30,202 US, equaling 1 Bitcoin, upward by 230 point mark, a 0.77% appreciation. The market is quite volatile. Ether 1,980 in the morning market. It would be a good time to look at what the stock market is saying, beginning with the Asian markets. Meanwhile, investors will be assessing a slew of economic reports in the Asia-Pacific region, including Australian unemployment and Chinese trade data. Shares in Australia, Hong Kong, and mainland China declined, while Japanese and South Korean stocks fluctuated. Let's look at what the Asian stock is saying this morning then. The Asian stock market. The Asian stock market this morning has shown some fluctuations. Japanese 2,157 share index it has a 0.26% appreciation in the market currently. The Shanghai, the Chinese stock share is upward this morning, or downward rather, by 9 points at 3,318 share level points, a negative 0.27% difference. It would be a good time to look at the Nigerian stock market based on the closure, with the equity capitalization closing at 28.3 trillion naira. The all share index rose by 0.42 basis points to close at 51,953.41 points, up from 51,952.99 posted 1,890 deals. Let's look at the top gainers. Sky Aviation led the gainers list with a 50 kobo rise in share price, moving from 5 naira to 5 naira 50 kobo per share. The bottom losers. Royal Exchange topped the losers table after shedding 10% to drop from 60 kobo to 54 kobo per share. And the top volume. Transcorp led the day's top trading with 117.52 million shares valued at 163.05 million naira.